Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Around the Nation right here. Jeff Waldorf here with you on this wonderful show that we have planned for you on this Tuesday evening. Please smash the like button and share. Helps us out greatly. We've got a fantastic show for you guys today. So you're not going to want to miss it. We have Bernie Sanders going after Donald Trump on windmills. That's a fun story. Devin Nunes, another lawsuit. Hilarious. And then, of course, Matt Gaetz. That's another fun one and ridiculous story as well. Great. We have William Barr getting challenged on the ACA repeal. That's a good story. Ted Cruz gets mocked for jinxing a basketball team. And, of course, we have Ilhan Omar attacking white supremacist Stephen Miller. And, not shockingly, being attacked as anti-Semitic again. So this smear is a smear that will not die against Representative Omar. And we've got the stories on that. Okay. Now, let's hurry up and actually get some patrons here because we have a lot of show. So I want to thank Aaron Pimentel, the librarian, Emmanuel Mawaka, Michael Bayet, Iqbal Zarguni, Fewer, and Gary Curtis. So thank you to all those. Oh, also, shout out to Ron Placone. Thank you for your support as well. Yeah, Ron is a patron, and I am a patron of Ron's, so it kind of works out like that pretty good. So if you haven't already supported him, if you like the work that Ron Placone does as well, he does his own channel, he's got his own channel, does our show. Get your news on with Ron, check that out. He does some fantastic stuff over there. And thank you, Ron, for your support. And so go and support him. All right, guys. Let's move on. Let's dive into the show. Fun times. Okay. Oh, I love this. Now, Senator Bernie Sanders has a message for President Trump on the subject of the dreaded windmill cancer. Take a look.
And they say the noise causes cancer. You tell me that one, okay?
As many of you know, President Trump said that the noise coming from wind turbines causes cancer. Actually, Donald Trump is the only person in the world who believes that. Actually, standing here, can't hear a thing except cars going by on the road. But the fact is that Iowa gets about 35% of its electricity from wind. They got wind turbines all over the state, which, by the way, provide revenue to farmers who desperately need that revenue. So, President Trump, once again, try to get your act together. Try to tell the truth. Won't hurt. Thanks.
Get out of there, Bernie. You're going to get the wind cancer. Oh, man. Okay. Now, you know, if Donald Trump actually told the truth, then he wouldn't have anything to run on. I'm just saying. I mean, what has he got? He's got nothing but lies. He's pathological. Lies are what he does. And by the way, I want to show you the full video of Donald Trump's comments on windmills, right? It's just so that I'm not accused of taking him out of context. Watch.
Hillary wanted to put up wind. If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, congratulations. Your house just went down 75% in value. And they say the noise causes cancer. You tell me that one, okay? You know, the thing makes it so... And, of course, it's like a graveyard for birds. If you love birds, you'd never want to walk under a windmill because it's a very sad, sad sight.
Very sad. Very sad. He also said, we're going to put up a little statue for the birds, for the poor birdies, right? So let me recap. No, the noise does not cause cancer. And it turns out that skyscrapers are actually worse for birds than wind turbines. Skyscrapers like, I don't know, Trump Tower in New York, perhaps? In fact, let me give you some numbers on that. Anywhere from 365 to 988 million birds are killed by smashing into buildings. That's annually. That is a lot of birds. So Trump Tower and buildings like it actually might be more dangerous for birds than a wind turbine. Oops. I guess we should put up a little statue for the birdies near Trump Tower. But in reality, of course, Donald Trump and the rest of these people who come up with these insane conspiracy theories about wind power, right, look, they don't actually care about the birds. They don't actually care about human health. You know why? It's because they're pushing coal and natural gas. I believe I gave you some of the effects, the health effects of living near coal plants, which, of course, happen to people that are of lower means, lower socioeconomic status, tend to be more located near coal and natural gas plants and things like that. So they end up suffering more health effects, things like asthma, things like higher rates of cancer, and other respiratory effects, and cardiovascular effects, things like that. So again, which one's more dangerous, right? And by the way, when it comes to birds, if you care about the birds so much, right, that stuff also kills the birds. Having coal and natural gas in that area destroys environments. But, it's really fun to watch right-wingers cry about nature, right, when they're literally in favor of industry that kills nature. Hilarious, right? And yes, cats are at number 2 at about 500 million. Thanks for pointing that out. Cats are also more dangerous to birds than wind power, than wind turbines. So, I mean, they have no leg to stand on. So they have to come up with crazy conspiracy theories like, the sound of wind turbines. If you listen to it long enough, it'll give you cancer, or it'll give you decreased quality of life. I actually read a paper on this, right, where some of the claims from the right wing and people that are anti-wind turbine say that the noise causes decreased quality of life, annoyance, stress, sleep disturbance, headache, anxiety, depression, and cognitive dysfunction. Some have also reported feeling a sense of anger, grief, or sense of injustice. Imagine, I feel such a sense of injustice from having this wind turbine near me. Ah! I mean, look, I guess if you live close enough, the sound could get annoying. But the question is, would you rather have a wind turbine near you, right, that maybe sounds annoying? And look, I understand annoying sounds. I live next to a busy road. I hear traffic nonstop. I'm pretty sure I lost a little bit of sleep because of that. Still, I would rather have the noise than live next to a coal plant or live next to a natural gas fracking well. Whereas, at least I don't have to worry about my, water catching on fire. I mean, again, I know what I'd pick, and I think I know what most people would pick anyway. The reality, though, of course, is that wind power is, of course, cheaper, better for the environment. It's actually cheaper than coal now, and it's a growing industry which actually creates jobs, much like solar power. And despite the conspiracy theories and pro-fossil fuel talking points, that energy from the wind, that is the future. And if you're not in the future, then then you're sitting in the past, and we're not interested in your old, basically outdated, dirty technology. Okay. Moving on. Let's go to our next story, William Barr. Now, Trump's new Attorney General, William Barr, is in the hot seat over his position, of course, for trying to dismantle the ACA. So there are a bunch of hearings here, and of course some is on whether or not he will release the full Mueller report after he's done redacting the crap out of it. In fact, Democrats are like, no, We don't want it redacted. We actually want to read what Mueller had said because there's a lot of disagreement. But something that isn't getting covered as much is the Justice Department's attempts to destroy the ACA, which took millions of their health insurance. Now, this happened during a House Appropriations Committee hearing. You had Pennsylvania Democrat Representative Matt Cartwright going after Barr and asking him if he had a plan for these millions of people who will be without health insurance if the Justice Department successfully challenges and repeals the health care law. And of course, unsurprisingly, he could not answer that simple question. And I want to show you the video of this because I think you will find it quite enlightening. Watch.
The Department of Justice's refusal to defend our law, the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, is distressing because of the harm that it poses to the physical and financial well-being of millions of Americans, and also because DOJ's refusal appears to be driven by political considerations rather than health care policy discussions or sound legal arguments. Attorney General Barr, you're not a health care policy expert, but your department is taking the lead on attempting a massive overhaul of our American health care system. So I want to make sure we agree on a few of the top-line facts. And let's go through a couple of quick yes or no questions at the outset. Number one, have you conducted or viewed an analysis to evaluate the effects of DOJ's litigation position to overturn the ACA? The effects on consumer costs and coverage. Have you done that analysis or have you reviewed one?
Well, when we're faced with a legal question, we try to base our answer on the law.
On the law. So the answer is no. And here's the thing. I can't imagine that you would take that kind of a drastic action without even trying to evaluate the consequences for the American consumers, the people using the health care, the people for whom these premiums are paid.
All right, so I love the snark from Mr. Cartwright, Representative Cartwright. Sorry, well, I just can't imagine that you would take that kind of dramatic action without even trying to evaluate. You know what he's saying? Like, yeah, I know you would absolutely do that because it's very obvious that that's what you're doing, that you don't actually care about the people who will possibly lose their health insurance. And actually, if this does go through, they would absolutely lose their health insurance. And some people would, of course, as a result, die. So no, they would not evaluate the consequences. Why would they do that? They already know exactly what they want to do. Again, they don't care that people can't afford their health insurance and that they will lose their health insurance because they want a system where health insurance companies have the power to charge you whatever they want. Deny you coverage if you're sick. And of course, if you can't afford that coverage, basically they want to put you in a position like we had before. If you ain't got the money, you die. And look, there are still a lot of Americans that are still in that position. Now, that's of course why I'm not a huge fan of the ACA. I think we need Medicare for all. We need it now. But the ACA, of course, was a small step in that direction, and it was a positive step. I benefited from the ACA. There are a lot of people that I know that have benefited from the ACA, but of course, it is just a small step. We actually need to go much, much further. Okay. Now, thing is, Republicans spent years and ran political campaigns on trying to destroy what little people got from the ACA without a plan to replace it. Because look, at first they didn't need a plan. Oh, ACA is bad. Right? Obamacare bad. I'm going to get rid of Obamacare, vote for me. And that actually did help in some of their elections, but it also, their insistence in repealing it, for which they tried about 70 plus times without a replacement, it eventually backfired on them because, oops, they got into power, tried to repeal it, and you had, of course, during that whole process, you had the famous John McCain no vote, which basically destroyed them. So, and their replacement plan, of course, that they came up with was completely disastrous. It pulled at like 30%. Nobody wanted it because it would have been far worse than what we actually have, which, as I mentioned before, is not the greatest system in the world. And we can do much, much better. Now, what they had before, of course, or what we had before, is basically their plan. That's what they wanted to go back to. But now, of course, since the ACA is polling at about 50% and has things in it that people actually do like, for example, covering pre-existing conditions, the Medicaid expansion, that is very, very helpful to at least the states that actually approved it. And so the Republicans, they can't get away with getting rid of the whole thing. Now they have to replace it. Now they have no idea how. And that's why Republicans have completely freaked out over this. Again, a little timeline here. First, Donald Trump decides, I'm going to go after the ACA after the whole Mueller thing, the Barr report. And so he's like, I don't know. I got something. All I have is repeal Obamacare and immigration. I have nothing else. I'm going to get destroyed in the polls. His own internal polling is bad enough to where his campaign manager says, you need to stop tweeting. You need to stop doing it now because you are just getting yourself in even worse trouble. And Trump comes out and says, I'm going to get rid of Obamacare. We are, the GOP is the party of health care. And Mitch McConnell's like, no, it's not, you idiot. I don't want to have this fight. I don't want to have this fight right before an election. We're going to get absolutely crushed. Why? Because we don't have a plan. We don't have a plan, you idiot. How dumb are you? Why would you just come out there and unilaterally say, I'm going to get rid of the ACA when we've got nothing? You moron of morons. You need to stop. And of course, after that stern talking to from Mitch McConnell, Trump says, I'll do it after the election. I'll do it after the election, okay? After. And they still don't have a plan. Oh, man. And look, the GOP, guys, you know this. They are not the party of healthcare. They are the party of letting insurance companies bankrupt you. And look, the Democrats, I know they're not much better on this issue. At least some of the Democrats have embraced single payer. But not all of them. Bernie Sanders is one of the few that have actually, I think he's the only one that has said, no insurance companies. We're going to get rid of the health insurance companies. The rest of the Democrats are like, well, believe in universal health care. We can go to single payer. And that's just one of the many other options. But, you know, we're going to keep private insurance. Then it's not true single payer. So congratulations on being super weak on that, on an issue that polls 70% of the American people want it, single-payer health care. So, I mean, look, Nancy Pelosi's issue on this is, I'm agnostic about the Medicare for all. I mean, I don't even know if it covers the stuff that ACA covers, or that it would be better. No, it would absolutely better. Bernie Sanders is now coming out and reintroducing an updated Medicare for all bill. And what we've seen of the last one is that it far expands benefits that were already included in Medicare. Vision, dental, reproductive. And so it's actually really good for women as well. Now, the donuts on Twitter will try to tell you, oh, no, it's actually bad for women. No, Medicare for all. Ridiculous, absolute lies. Go and actually look at the piece of legislation that is going to be coming out and past iterations of it, and you will realize it is incredibly comprehensive and detailed. The only person running in this race that has more detailed policy positions than Bernie Sanders is Elizabeth Warren. And that's, of course, just because she's a policy wonk. She's a terrible campaigner. She's a terrible politician. But the one thing she does know is policy. And her policies are a little bit more detailed than Bernie Sanders, which shows that Sanders has been working on these policies for quite some time. And so they're incredibly detailed. So I would urge everyone watching, look that up. Look it up. Anyway, more. Let's see. Hold on here. Okay, I do have one more video on William Barr, and so I'm just going to get to that, because he's got a snarky little answer about, what might happen if they are successful. Take a look.
But let's start the process of
you mean
through that,
in the event
if we
that
may.
the law
If you're
struck
successful in this lawsuit that you're supporting, and the entire Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act is struck down, millions of Americans who currently receive health insurance coverage under the law are at risk of losing that coverage. Am I correct in that?
I think the president has made clear that he favors not only pre-existing conditions, but would like action on a broad health plan. So he is proposing a substitute for Obamacare.
The one that's going to come after the next election, you mean?
The one that will come down if and when.
Well, let me be
Obamacare
the
is
one to
struck
inform
down.
you, should the law be struck down, millions of people who get their coverage through the ACA marketplace would lose their coverage, and tens of millions more would see their premiums skyrocket. In addition, if you're successful, 12 million people nationally and 750,000 people in my home state of Pennsylvania who have coverage under the Medicaid expansion would also likely lose that coverage. Am I correct in that, sir?
Do you think it's likely we are going to prevail?
If you prevail, well, you're devoting scarce resources of your department toward that effort, are you not, Attorney General?
We're in litigation. We have to take a position.
The answer is yes.
We
So
take
you're
position
trying to
in
get
litigation.
it invalidated, and if you succeed, that many people will lose their coverage nationally from Medicaid and 750,000 from Pennsylvania alone, right?
I'm just saying that if you think it's such an outrageous position, you have nothing to worry about. Let the courts do their job.
That's his answer. That's his answer. I mean, if you think it's so outrageous, you've got nothing to worry about. Well, then why are you pushing for it? Why? What is that even supposed to mean? You got nothing to worry about, man. So if William Barr thinks, it's got nothing to worry about, I'm just pushing this on the off chance that maybe I'll win, but I'm assuming that I'm not going to win. Well, then what's the point? What's the point? Why take it to court? Again, Mitch McConnell doesn't want this. The American people don't want this. Why do it? Well, it's because it's politics. Look, Donald Trump hates Obamacare. He hates the ACA, right? And, of course, there's one reason why he hates Obamacare, and it has to do with the word Obama. Simply. And that's the whole purpose, right? Is to try to strip away President Barack Obama's signature achievement, right, during his time in office. Because he hates it. He can't stand it. It's all about jealousy when it comes to Donald Trump. And now William Barr, of course, William Barr is his lackey, right? Again, what you've seen so far when it came to the Mueller report, and now when it comes to this, you can tell he's there for one reason. He's there to please Donald Trump. And Donald Trump says, get rid of Obamacare for me. And Barr says, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will. Right away, sir. I will do whatever I can to undermine and eliminate the ACA. That's why I'm joining this ridiculous lawsuit and putting the Justice Department's resources behind getting rid of this so that we can deprive millions of people of their health insurance. Now, the thing is, Donald Trump is going to lose. He's going to lose badly on this issue. Why do I say that? Well, again, the ACA polls at about 50%. That's a lot higher than it actually used to be. Definitely higher than the GOP plan. But not only that, in the midterm election, which was the blue wave, right? Healthcare was the top issue that brought people out to the polls. The attempts to repeal the ACA and replace it with an inferior plan pissed off so many people that it got them out to the polls to vote against the Republicans to sweep 40 seats in the House, giving it to control the Democrats. That blue wave crashed right over Republican heads. And of course, it's because the Republicans blew it on health care. And Barr, on Trump's orders, is going to try to do it again. What kind of strategy is this? Well, look, there is no strategy, right? There is no policy behind this. There's no like three-dimensional chess going on with Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't even know how to play checkers. He's an idiot. He's not a smart person. He's doing this for politics, at a ham-handed, ham-fisted attempt to try to play politics and get what he wants. And he is, at the end of the day, going to get crushed Okay. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll come back with Devin Nunes. We got 2 stories on Devin Nunes, both fun. So come back for that. I'll be out for just a minute here to take a quick break to reorganize and take a breath. But we'll be back and we'll have some fun at, of course, Devin Nunes' expense and Matt Gaetz. That should be a lot of fun. So stay right here. Please like the stream and share, and we'll be back in a minute. Round the Nation. Welcome back to the show. Round the Nation right here. TYT Nation with you. Jeff Waldorf here. All right, so please hit that like button and share. Very, very important. Helps out greatly. I want to give a shout out here to a new channel member, Bartman49. So thank you, Bartman. Something tells me that it's not your real name, but I'll take it anyway. Thank you for supporting the show. If you want to support the show as well, using the YouTube membership, hit the join button below. Or you can sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That's how you can sign up. Patrons, of course, get the entire show condensed, without breaks, ad-free. So check that out. That's level 2 members. That's $3 and above. You get that. $1, of course, is to show that you support the show. All right. Moving on, let's get to Devin Nunes and why there's a sort of cocaine yacht prostitute that's trending. Believe me, this is fun. Okay. Anyway, let's get the sidebar up here. And go. Here we go. No, that is not a typo. All right. So Representative Devin Nunes continues to deliver more cell phones via ridiculous litigation. Now, Fox News, of all places, is reporting that on Monday that Nunes is now suing the parent company of his hometown newspaper for a total of $150 million. Now, the lawsuit actually is targeting the McClatchy Company, owners of the Fresno Bee, along with reporter Mackenzie Mays and a Republican consultant named Liz Mayer. Now, I believe she might also be involved in the lawsuit against the cow on Twitter. Because again, Devin Nunes is also suing a Twitter cow. I'm not kidding. Okay, more. Now, the lawsuit is complaining about a May 23rd, 2018 article titled "A Yacht, Cocaine, Prostitutes, Winery Partly Owned by Nunes Sued After Fundraiser Event." So now, this is from journalist Mackenzie Mays, who tweeted this out. This is a tweet from last year on this article. Says, a woman who worked for the winery listed as a primary asset of Devin Nunes sued after she said she was stranded on a yacht with its top investors who were using cocaine and having sex with underage sex workers. So now, look, you guys know I'm in favor of sex work, but not when it's underage. So that's very clearly wrong, right? So big problem with both drug use and as well as using basically child sex molestation. So that's horrible, right? So now the Cruz was auctioned off as a part of a charity event, right? So now Nunes was not in the boat, right? He didn't have anything to do with this particular cruise, but he's an investor in this company. Now, this company is called Alpha Omega. And, oh boy, it is an Omega problem for him. Now, they reported that Nunes had invested back in 2005 between $50,000 and $100,000 in the company. Now, it's a wine company, it's a winery, and it opened about the same year. Now, Alpha Omega and Phase 2 Cellars are owned by Robin Baggett. Now, Robin Baggett is the former general counsel for the Golden State Warriors, and he and Nunes are friends. They graduated from the same school and, of course, share ownership in the company. Now, Nunes actually does not own a majority share in the company. He's among 50 other investors, right? So now, the cruise in question featured guests described in a 2016 lawsuit as 25 of the Napa Valley's based winery's top investors. All men who were openly using what appeared to be cocaine and drawing straws for which underage sex worker to hire, according to the lawsuit. Now, again, the woman who launched this lawsuit, who is making all these allegations, is Ilhan Omar of Walnut Creek. Now, she worked for Alpha Omega, and she was the one who was stranded on the boat. Okay, now she is suing Alpha Omega for civil rights violations, that's interesting, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and sexual harassment. She also sued for violation of fair employment laws, alleging that after the incident, Alpha Omega stopped assigning her shifts. Now, again, Nunes is not specifically listed in this lawsuit, nor was he listed as being on the yacht or anywhere near the yacht or having knowledge of this floating cocaine sex party, and was only listed as somebody who is a part investor in the company. So now why the lawsuit? I don't know. Look, it's not like the paper was alleging that Nunes was doing something untoward, right? No, it's not as if anything like that happened. No, what happened is, again, it was that poor waitress who got stuck on that boat that launched the original lawsuit against the company itself. All the paper did was report on a story. Like, this is a story. Here's the facts. Here's how it ties into Nunes. Because originally, the company was also under scrutiny and Nunes' name because of the whole 2016 whatever Russian, meddling, right? And that the company had sold wine to Russian investors or something. Okay, whatever, right? Now, again, all they did, the paper was, is they reported on this. I read the report. Nothing defamatory in it. And actually, it even helps Devin Nunes. There's a quote here from Kelly Carter. Now, Kelly Carter is the director of communications for Alpha Omega, and this was quoted in the story. They noted that in an email, she distanced Nunes from the lawsuit. Quote, Representative Devin Nunes is one of a few friends Baggett invited to invest in the winery in 2005. None of the investors has ever been involved with the management of the company. Robin is the sole managing partner and ultimate decision maker at Omega Alpha. Robin has made a point never to mix politics with the business of Alpha Omega. Our business model is simple. Grow great grapes, make great wine, hire great people, and provide our customers with a great experience. I can't really say anything about that. Carter said no one on board the yacht had any connection to the winery or its owners, and that the benefiting charity was outside of Napa Valley. They also noted that Nunes is a limited partner. Limited partners are only liable for the debts equal to their investment in the company, and typically have little knowledge or participation in the activities of the partnership, according to the California Tax Service Center. Now, that was all inside the article when I was reading it. So now, you read that article, and it's like, it almost sounds good for Nunes. Like, oh, good, he's not actually involved in this. This has got nothing to do with him. So the only thing that's mentioned is that he is an investor, a limited partner. Fair enough. Fair enough. It had nothing to do with the floating cocaine sex party. Okay. So again, why the lawsuit? That doesn't make any sense, does it? It's because Nunes can't help himself. He's an idiot. He's going to draw more attention to this by doing this ridiculous lawsuit. This is Devin Nunes' cow all over again. Now, this story is now getting a ton of attention because he couldn't leave it alone. I'm beginning to wonder if Devin Nunes is into some sort of punishment because he keeps bringing this on himself with ridiculous lawsuits, litigation. Like, he can't help himself. The self-owns, man. He continues to self-owns. And so, I don't know. It's hilarious because he just can't stop punching himself in the face. What are you going to do? Okay. Moving on. More Devin Nunes. We're not done with him yet. Now, Representative Matt Gaetz, on Tuesday, decided to stand up for his good friend, Representative Devin Nunes, after, of course, he got mocked for suing his own wine company over a yacht trip that involved both drugs and prostitutes. Now, while appearing on Fox Business News, Gaetz said that Nunes had every right to sue the wine company and even individual Twitter users who make fun of him. So now, not only that is he suing the wine company, but he's also suing the newspaper that reported on the wine company. I mean, come on, man. Now, Gaetz, on that appearance, said this, quote, Devin Nunes will go down in history as a great American patriot. Democrats, the media, and even social media platforms have tried to silence him. Not true. Yet he's standing strong. I'm glad that the hunted has become the hunter. Are you serious? The hunter. Obviously, that did not go well on social media. See, here's the thing. Nobody's trying to silence Devin Nunes. What we are is that we're making fun of him because he's being an idiot, because he's dumb. So now let's get to the tweets, right? Oh, and I know Devin Nunes is probably going to sue me for calling him stupid. Bring it up. Okay, anyway. Fun tweets from Matt. Why did Devin have to recuse himself from his own investigation? That's a good, interesting question. Becky says, on the same day that hashtag yacht cocaine prostitutes is trending, tone deaf one. Mamala Trump says, the schmuck who accumulates up DUIs like they were junk mail supporting the moron, Devin Nunes, who supports legislation against frivolous lawsuits and then sues a fake cow. That's rich. Now, that's something that I actually didn't mention in the previous story, is where Matt Gaetz, or I'm sorry, not Matt Gaetz, but Devin Nunes is in favor of tort reform. Oh, let's stop the frivolous lawsuits. Except now I'm going to use a bunch of frivolous lawsuits to go after my political opponents and the media. Awesome. Dustin Miller says you really need to quit day drinking, replying to Matt Gaetz. Dana Zukova says both of you should have stood up to Trump. You had a duty to, but you don't understand. He said Devin Nunes and Matt Gaetz are toadies. They will always submit to Republican authority. Now, Donna continues, what you're doing, ignoring the corruption in this administration, lying for Trump, and protecting him from the accountability all presidents are subject to, is wrong and a dereliction of duty. It's dishonest and dishonorable. True. Art Radley points out that you'll both be footnotes in the chapter about the end of the GOP. I am surprised that it hasn't fallen apart yet. Twag says, this is just such a ridiculous statement. Devin Nunes is a traitor, a liar who abuses his position to protect your God at the expense of the American people. Simple. And by that, of course, he means Donald Trump. Ed Kamen says, such a brave stance to take. You know the great thing about Twitter, Matt? Nothing ever disappears. That is true. Even if you delete a tweet, it's actually almost worse if you delete a tweet. Because then people can still bring up that tweet because they probably screenshotted it and posted it everywhere and then ask you, well, why'd you delete the tweet? Well, I don't care if you deleted it. We've got it right here. You know why? Because nothing ever disappears from the internet. K102 says, that's a stunningly ridiculous tweet. Steve Delphin says, 2 certified ass clowns, which is hilarious. Scenario says you should both be in prison. Donald King says, you must be day drinking again. He's suing a cow Twitter account. He's filing lawsuits that have zero chance of succeeding. What an inspiration to grifters everywhere. And finally, Jeffrey Fisher notes, yeah, F the First Amendment. The real problem is fake cows on Twitter saying mean stuff. That just shows you how thin-skinned these right-wingers really are. And what's hilarious is that, look, here you had, and let me get her name just to be sure, Liz Mayer. Liz Mayer is a conservative. She recently wrote an article criticizing this frivolous, ridiculous lawsuit against her and Twitter accounts by saying what Devin Nunes is trying to do is trying to destroy free speech. Well, now, where are the free speech warriors? Where's Dave Rubin? Where's Dave Rubin coming out and saying, no, I'm in favor of free speech. What Devin Nunes is doing is wrong. You need to stop that. And we need to have a real fair discussion where nobody is silenced. I don't see them doing that. I don't see the free speech warriors out here. So, that's real strange, real interesting that I don't see those guys anywhere when it comes to ridiculous lawsuits suing fake Twitter accounts. Look, it is your free speech to be able to mock people on Twitter. But again, apparently they don't agree, and they will continue to use their power to crush people for just doing what is considered their free speech. So, snowflakes are going to snowflake, man. Okay. All right. Moving on. I'm actually getting along really well in the stories here. Okay. So Senator Ted Cruz is being mocked for taking a celebratory selfie right before his team during the NCAA championship lost their game. Oops. Now, look, Ted Cruz is in favor of Texas Tech, whose championship bid came up short in overtime against Virginia. And so, as I said before, he was getting mocked for taking the selfie. Let me show you this and prepare for the brain bleach. Okay. Hold. Here it is. Ted Cruz. And it's accompanied by the tweet. 35 seconds, 1 point lead. Go Red Raiders. Hashtag #1 defense. Well, let's see what happened. Texas Tech, of course, did not win. They lost 85-77 in overtime. And now Cruz is being blamed for basically jinxing the game for Texas Tech. You gotta love this. And so Twitter, of course, widely panned him and mocked him. Mark pointed out that this is a literal cursed tweet. Jamison Fawzer says, "Hey, Ted, what happened next?" Ryan Hopbrook says, "Classic Ted, ruining things since 1970. I would agree with that. Ken Tremendous said, "This is one of the saddest things I've ever seen. I can't express how deeply sad this makes me. He must have been a Texas Tech fan." Jess Dweck says, "Always embarrassing when a politician is caught sending out a dick pic." Something related to that, by the way. Yesterday, Robert Picardo, he's the guy that plays the doctor on Voyager, tweeted out a picture of Stephen Miller and said, I did it, guys. I finally tweeted out a dick pic." The Book Viking, getting back to the tweets here, says, "Now I know why we lost." Again, must have been a Texas Tech fan. Irma Fernandez says, "This is your fault, Ted." Michael D. Nostradamus says, "I was rooting for them right up until I saw this tweet." Alyssa says, "The real reason why Tech lost, Rockets lost the playoff game when he showed up too. Apparently, Ted Cruz is just bad luck." Wadsworth the Butler says, "It's worth Texas Tech losing." He finding the bright side, of course. "Just knowing you'll spend the rest of your night all mopey and sad. Signed, a born and raised Texan." How did Robert Francis, lose to this guy? Seriously. More. Oh, by the way, I want to give you another tweet here from Ted Cruz afterwards saying, "A heartbreaking loss, but an amazing game. Congrats to Texas Tech for a history-making season. Overtime in the national championship. All of Texas is proud of you." Well, not all of Texas is proud of Ted Cruz, just to show you that. Todd says, "Someone needs to pay damages for pain and suffering for designing that T-shirt." Again, let me show you that. Oh, shit. No, dude. There are some people that should not have beards. Oh, my God. Yeah, no. No, shave that thing off, dude. Whatever that is. That is not a beard. This is more like a beard. Anyway. Jay Willis says, "Oh, my God, Ted, people can see this." And then Kyla says, "What's even cooler than a pic of me in this teen-style Wrangler shirt looking extremely relatable is they watch the sport of ball from my celebrity seat on the Alps level. 4 pics. Also, guns." And Kevin Jones finally says something that I think we all relate with. "I'm so grateful to not be you." Well, you know what? Again, always the silver lining. All right. Moving on. One more here. Okay. So let's end the day with something a little bit more serious. I probably should have started with a serious story, but okay. Finger gun control. That's good. That's great. Okay. Serious stuff now. Serious. All right. Now, Representative Ilhan Omar is again being accused of anti-Semitism after she called Stephen Miller, one of Donald Trump's advisors on immigration, a white supremacist. I'm sorry, white nationalist. Let me be clear. She called him a white nationalist. All right. Now, she also tweeted that the fact that he still has influence on policy and political appointments is an outrage. And in fact, after Kirstjen Nielsen had been forced out, Stephen Miller now has unprecedented control over Trump's immigration proposals. Now, here's the thing. Calling him a white nationalist should not be a controversial statement. Stephen Miller is both white, and his policies reflect nationalism. I'm just saying. Look, even Stephen Miller's own family have said something similar to that. They're like, what are you doing? Like, you are literally doing to other people, to migrants, to immigrants, what America did to us when our family and many Jewish people had attempted to come over to America during World War II and were turned away. He seems to have forgotten that little bit of history. So now, of course, like I said, because Miller is Jewish, Omar is immediately accused of being anti-Semitic. And of course, here comes the right wing to go and continue that smear. Let's start with Representative Lee Zeldin. Now, he says, quote, "During my time in Congress before Ilhan Omar got here, I didn't once witness another member target Jewish people like this with the name-calling and other personal attacks. In 2019, though, for Ilhan Omar, this is just called Monday." Now, let me tell you something, Mr. Zeldin. It's not name-calling if it's true. He is a white nationalist. He does agree with white nationalists. And so, where's the lie? Where's the lie? Stephen Miller pushes anti-immigrant, white nationalist, even white supremacist messaging. And again, he forgot that back in World War II, the same kind of rhetoric and actions that he's using against asylum seekers and migrants led to the deaths of Jewish asylum seekers back then. They had to return to Germany, and they ended up, most times, in concentration camps. Again, he's doing sort of the same thing to migrants, sending them back to the countries where they could be killed by violence, gang violence, or political upheaval. They are running from violence. So the fact that, of course, the right wing has the balls to call her, even though she's rightly pointing out another fact, an anti-Semite, is ridiculous. But of course, they do it because she's a Muslim, right? She's an easy target of these attacks. And of course, thanks to the vilification that she has been getting from a lot of the many in the right wing and some in the left wing, not really left wing, I should say some in the centrist Democrats, has led to death threats against her. I reported recently that 2 days ago, a New York man was arrested on charges of threatening Omar by threatening to put a bullet in her effing head. Where were the Democrats? Where were the Democrats? Were they going to defend their freshman member? No. AOC did, of course. And other progressives did, but not the majority of the Democratic Party. They instead voted to condemn Ilhan Omar, and it makes me wonder if they're going to defend Stephen Miller on this. Remember, Stephen Miller is the guy that is behind the family separation policy at the border. He even said, let's close the entire U.S.-Mexico border. Donald Trump's worst policies on immigration were hatched by Stephen Miller. But no, they're probably either going to ignore this or at worst they're going to defend Stephen Miller. Say, oh, you can't do that. Ilhan Omar, we will condemn you again. And we will possibly consider censure. Ridiculous. Now, more disgusting attacks here from the right wing. This is, let's see. I'm trying to figure out where this quote is from. This is Matt Wolking. No, that's not. I don't know who to do this quote here from, so I'll skip that. But Matt Wolking, Deputy Communications Director for the President's reelection campaign, tweeted this, quote, "He's Jewish and Ilhan Omar is a racist anti-Semite." And then there was another tweet here. "I see that the head of the Farrakhan fan club, Ilhan Omar, took a short break from spewing her usual anti-Semitic bigotry to accuse a Jewish man of being a white nationalist because she apparently has no shame." That's horrible. So that's coming from the right wing. And why am I going after the Democrats then? Well, look, we expect this from the right wing, right? But we expect Democrats to support other Democrats. But they're not there. And you know what? They instead join the right wing in vilifying a progressive over her statements about AIPAC. Which again, telling you, she criticized AIPAC for being a lobbying group that influences using money in politics. Well, that's what a lobbying group is supposed to do. They influence politicians on behalf of special interest groups. She called it out and said, look, that's what it is. I don't want to support AIPAC. I don't want to be a dual, I don't want to have a dual allegiance to a lobbyist group or another country or a lobbyist group representing another country and the United States of America. I don't want to do that. She wasn't saying anybody else does. She just says she didn't want to. So, but there's more. Now, Nancy Pelosi, by the way, sided with the right wing to attack Omar. And now you have Christian Ziegler, vice chairman of the Florida GOP, using this to urge his Jewish friends to, quote, join the Jexodus movement, which encouraged Jews to leave the Democratic Party. Again, because the Democrats aren't fighting back and defending their member against these ridiculous charges, you have the right wing getting more and more vicious and more emboldened to actually do even more smears. And, oh, look, well, obviously you have one person in your party that is an alleged anti-Semite. So we're just going to, encourage all the Jews to leave the Democratic Party. As if the Republican Party isn't at all tainted by allegations of true anti-Semitism. Again, the president himself called marchers in Charlottesville, the ones that were chanting, "The Jews will not replace us." Very fine people. Oh, there's fine people on both sides. Evangelical Christians, by the way, voted 98% for Donald Trump. Jeff, you understand they support Israel, right? They only support Israel and Jewish people because they believe that it's going to lead to the end times. You know what happens in the end times? Everyone dies, except for the Christians. All the Jews die. That does not work out very well for Jewish people. So good luck with your Jexodus. It might as well be about as successful as walk away, right? Now, these attacks on Omar did get some pushback, not from the Democratic Party itself, but from economist David Rothschild, saying this, quote, Representative Zeldin is using his Jewishness to provide cover for a white nationalist regime that stokes hatred and terror for Jews and many other peoples in a U.S. that until President Trump felt so safe and secure for us. We have another one. Perry Gershon, a Democratic businessman who, full disclosure, lost a race to Zeldin in 2018, said, quote, inappropriate accusations of anti-Semitism masks the ugliness of the real thing. It's true. But no other word from any of the other Democrats who accused her of being anti-Semitic, who went after her and said, oh, you're using anti-Semitic tropes, and forced her to apologize. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. You really helped embolden these right-wingers who, again, have no room to talk about actual anti-Semitism, especially Donald Trump. I want to give you a couple quotes from him, who said, special thanks to Representative Omar of Minnesota. Oh, I forgot. She doesn't like Israel. I forgot. I'm so sorry. No, you didn't forget. He was talking to members in attendance of a recent speech, which included casino magnate and prominent Republican donor Sheldon Adelson. Now, what's funny about Trump using this is that, again, this is the guy who uses anti-Semitic tropes constantly. Recently, Trump referred to Israel's leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, as, quote, your prime minister, in an address to a group of Jewish American supporters in Las Vegas. That would be a trope. That would basically accusing Jewish Americans of having a dual loyalty to another country, to Israel. Your president. No, not your prime minister, because that's a different country. Jewish Americans are just Americans. Again, trope, right? Then he also went on to suggest that his Jewish supporters should, quote, explain to some of your people in business and finance that they should stop opposing tariffs. And I'll give you the exact quote here. Quote, some of your people in finance. That's more tropes. You want to talk about who's anti-Semitic? It's not Ilhan Omar. It's Donald Trump, the Republican Party, who, by the way, they want to start a war with Iran. That war with Iran would be disastrous for Israel. But again, the reason that I'm mad at the Democrats is, again, we expect Republicans to be horrible and anti-Semitic. However, the Democrats, they let this go on. They let these attacks happen, and sometimes even join in with the right wing in attacking their own people. In this case, Ilhan Omar, who is deeply progressive. Also, they can make AIPAC, the right-wing lobbyist group that represents the right-wing government of Israel, happy. It just kind of shows you how out of step with the rest of the Democratic Party, who is younger and who is critical of Israel, especially because of their attacks in Gaza and what they're doing to Palestinians in the West Bank. It just shows you how disconnected the leadership is with the base of the party. Okay. All right, guys. That's it. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for going around the nation with me today. Please sign up to become a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. Give us a like and share on Twitter or on YouTube and Facebook, etc. Wherever you can find us, please like and share these video clips and streams. We'll be back tomorrow for another fantastic show. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. And remember, change begins with you. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow around the nation.